Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bima Sultan Aji. I am English Department, Universitas Negeri Semarang 2020. Here I would like to present about my thesis examination. The title of my research is Analysis of Intertextuality in the Novel The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet. Table of content. Overview of the chapter 1, 2, and 3. In the chapter 1, the content is introduction to the research topic. In the chapter 2, present a comprehensive literature review, summarizing and analyzing existing research related to the topic, and identifying gaps and establishing the theoretical framework. On the chapter 3, the content is the methodology. In finding and discussion, the finding and discussion section of this reason and interpret the result obtained from the data analysis. The research discuss the significance of the result, drawing connection to the existing literature and theoretical framework present in the literature review. In the conclusion and suggestion, the section of this thesis is a summation of the research finding and provide valuable insight for the future studies. First chapter, brief overview of chapter 1 until 3. Background of the study. Reader or literature authors are often unconsciously and consciously compared with existing literary work. This is because novels are literary works that are very close to the society. In addition, novels are literary works that may have difference and similarity between one novel and other novel. The state that in the intertextuality is from Nugiantoro 1995, in Octaviani and Priyadi and Sally 2040. The intertextuality study is indeed to study several text aspects of having certain relationship, such as the relationship of intrinsic elements such as idea, event, plots, characterizations, language, and other among the text studies. The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet are two stories that are assumed to be related to each other within the framework of intertextuality. The story of The Outsider was written by Susan Elian Hinton, one of the most popular adult fiction writers. The Outsider was published on April 24, 1967, with 192 pages. The Outsider described Ponyboy Curtis' battle with right and wrong in a society where he feels outcast. The book is about Ponyboy Curtis. According to Ponyboy, there are two types of people, greaser and shock. The shock is short call for social. The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet are famous in the literary world. Even the work of Romeo and Juliet is considered vital because a literary maestro like Shakespeare wrote. Both novels have been even filmed. This shows that the public interest in the story is quite considerable. However, from the review, the average reader only concentrates on the story or plot. Many readers have not revealed other things as evidence by various reviews or reviews about the two stories. For example, from the Goodreads portal, the average reader review only revolved around the central theme. This shows that the similarity between the two stories has not been widely disclosed. A deeper analysis of these two stories is needed from a different point of view than usual, namely regarding their intertextuality. In the hope of contributing to a better meaning of this story, the theory of intertextuality developed by Julia Kristeva will be used as an analytical tool. Research for choosing the topic. The two novels that will be studied have been widely read, evidenced by their frame of the two novels. The novel have been translated into several languages and also has several versions. Both novels have been adapted into film and have been so many times. The Outsider has also been adapted in a movie or a film. Also in the Romeo and Juliet adapted into a drama or novel. 2. Research is carried out that the similarity can be explained in detail and deep so the reader find alternative meaning from the story. From this, it assumes that the research can explain the broader sociocultural aspect of the two different eras. Number 3. The two novels appear in era, but there are similarities between the two novels. This needs to be investigated whether the impact of the two works on society in their respective age is assumed to be indication of the situation of humanity in the next era. Objective of the study. The first one is determine the type of intertextuality that appear in the two novels. The second, identifying the sociocultural context behind the intertextuality in the novel. Number 3. Explain intertextuality implication on the message that emerge from the two novels. Significance of the study. First, theoretical. Is research is expected to help and experience an example of intertextuality analysis that appear in the literary work. Second, practically, this research is expected to add insight into the application of intertextuality theory in literary work. 3. The research is also expected to provide the necessary data for the further research interest in the topic of intertextuality or these two works. Scope, scope and limitation of the study. It is critical to define the scope of the research because it will aid in making it more objective. The author of this research focused only on dialogue, action, and aspect of the outsider by Hinton and Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. This research will examine the theory of intertextuality from Julia Kristeva. Definition of terminology. The theory of intertextuality. According to Kristeva in Raj 2050, the most basic principle of intertextuality is just a sign refer to the other sign. Every text relates to the other text. Novel. According to Atika Kurniawati, Wartiningsi Pendidikan Bahasa dan Sastra Indonesia, dan Untan 2030, a novel is a story that plays in the world of people and things around us, not deep and deficit more even from the author's life. Unsur of the novel. The elements that build the novel are intrinsic element and extrinsic element. Elements are characterization, themes, plot, character, setting, and point of view. Cultural aspect. According to Kunjoroningrat 19, anthropologists from Indonesia define cultural as whole of idea, feeling, action, work product by human. Next, theoretical background. Julia Kristeva in Abdurrahman and Parmin 2022 emphasized the definition of intertextuality. The theory of intertextuality has specific rule and principle. Type of intertextuality. Quotation, figurative, review, plagiarism, translation, pastiche, and parody. The principle of intertextuality. Pradopo explained that the principle of intertextuality is a means of giving means to a literary text. Next, theoretical framework. This research used descriptive research. Descriptive research, according to Mustakifah Makim 2022, described that to obtain information about the problem when the research was conducted. These studies use qualitative because there are no numbers. This study used two novels as data source. The novel are S.A. Hinton and Romeo and Juliet. Intertextuality studies involve the novel intrinsic element, namely theme, plot, character, point of view, and setting. The final results of these studies of intertextuality will be founded and involving the 5 elements of the novel. Research methodology. Research type and design of this research is employ a qualitative descriptive data form of the data. The form of the research was qualitative research assumption. This research was obtained from the data from sentence or paragraph from the novel. Source of the data. This research is source data from the novel The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet. Research methodology. The instrument for collecting the data. The study in collecting data by reading the novel The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet. Technique for collecting the data. This research use quotes, word, phrases, clause, or sentence. Other. The data processing. This research use data processing in the qualitative method was in the form of the data collection from and the data reduction, data presentation, and conclusion. The technique of analyzing the data. First, reading all the both novel by looking the intrinsic and extrinsic element. Second chapter is finding and discussing. In the finding, the researcher was found the intrinsic and extrinsic element of both novel in the Outsider and Romeo and Juliet. The first one is theme. The theme in the Outsider is romance. The relationship between the main character, especially between Ponyboy and Cherry. The theme in Romeo and Juliet are love, which include feeling of pure love, obsession, and sacrifice. The plot of the both novel. The plot in The Outsider follows the journey of main character Ponyboy Curtis out as a member of Greaser. The Ponyboy search of his identity and overcoming conflict that arise in his growth. Character. The main character in The Outsider have their unique arc and complex intrinsic and extrinsic of both novel in The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet. The next is point of view. The novel The Outsider is written in the first person about of view, where Ponyboy Curtis, the main character, acts as the story's narrator. In Romeo and Juliet is written in the third person, which gives the reader a broad view of the love story and family conflict. In the setting. The setting of The Outsider is the fictional city of Tulsa, Oklahoma in 19th century. The city is described as dark and raw place where social difference and violence between groups of teenagers are prominent. Romeo and Juliet is set in Verona, Italy in the 19th century, which provides unique atmosphere for the story. Extrinsic. The Outsider is the novel written by Susan Ellen Hinton in 1977. In 1970, in 1967, it was an era characterized by the Vietnam War. Sociocultural context in the novel The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet. First, The Outsider reflected the strong social class difference between the two groups of teenagers, namely Greaser and Sox. Greaser are suburban teenagers who usually come from poor families and have a rough lifestyle in the novel. Also in Romeo and Juliet, the social class differences are very visible between the two main families, the Montague and Capulet families. The family is a rich people, while the Capulet is the poor people. Secondly, violence. Violence is a strong subtheme in the novel. The teenagers in the novel are often involved in fight and act of violence, which is reflected the various conflicts in the story. Conflict and violence are important in Romeo and Juliet. The rivalry between the Montague and Capulet family creates rampant strife within Verona, giving rise to violence that corrupt society. Third, regarding stereotype, the novel reflects the stereotypes that often occur in society that greasers are often seen as raw, bad, and dangerous. Discussion from this topic is come from theme. The theme of romance appears in the both stories but is constructed to make people realize that the strong love can grow between two hostile families. Both stories show that strong love can overcome social difference and conflict, and that sacrifice and loyalty can be integral to strong love. Plot. Both novels have the same conflict in the form of the family member of or a group. In The Outsider, the greaser fight the conflict versus the soul, and Romeo and Juliet, it is introduced by the Montague and Capulet. The conflict that occur in the two groups also have similarity between the two novels. In the character, The Outsider, the main character is Pony Boy. He is a teenager. He is looking for his identity and struggling to find his place in the world. In the Romeo and Juliet, the main character Romeo and Juliet are also teenagers. The main character in the Romeo and Juliet is Romeo. Romeo is looking for the identity, struggling to get love from the Juliet. Point of view. In the point of view, there is not intertextuality between both novels. Setting. The Outsider. Setting in The Outsider is the small town setting in Tulsa, Oklahoma, consists of the greaser and soap, who are hostile to each other. In Romeo and Juliet, the small town setting is Verona, Italy, which consists of the hostile Montague and Capulet families. Extrinsic. Both novel The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet show intertextuality or similarity in some respect related to the historical and cultural context, the author life and experience, and influence of previous literature. Intertextuality, sociocultural context in the novel The Outsider and Romeo and Juliet. The social class difference faced by characters in both novels show how social and economical disparity can affect people's lives and cause tension between the different groups. Violence is also an act that is equal present in the both novels. Stereotypes. There are. Stereotype is very important in both novels. The stereotype in both novels show how many narrow and stereotypical view can influence people's action and decision. Intertextuality implication for the message of the two stories. In The Outsider, the conflict between the greaser result in violence, strife, and injustice. Also, Romeo and Juliet meet a tragic end. They choose to love each other with passion and courage. The climax in The Outsider occurs when the pony boy realizes that the difference between the soft and greaser are not always adversarial, and everyone has the same difficulties and problems. So the conclusion from the research is the theme of love. The theme of love, the theme of love, plot in the deep character development and extrinsic element related to the social and cultural context are often important elements in the narrative construction. There is intertextuality in the story because human problems in this world are the same from the time to time, but the appearance can be different because of the theme that show other social cultural conditions according to each person. Both stories have theme, plot, character, and social culture similarities in each work. Thank you very much.